everyone. So if you've just bought your first horse or maybe you're planning to get one soon, this video is for you. I'm going to be sharing some helpful tips for new horse owners today. Real quick, if you have yet to start looking for your first horse, there's a few tips I'd like to cover that will help you find the best horse for you. So when you start looking for your first horse, it can be really overwhelming just because you may find a lot of different horses out there. So it's important to know exactly what to look for in a horse that will best suit you. So one of the first tips I want to share is look for a horse that will fit you in size and also one that you can grow into if you're not done growing yet. So Tucker here, he's a little on the short side. He is 13 hands high. I got him when I was done growing, so I'm about 5'3", and I knew that I could ride ponies a lot and I wanted a pony, and so Tucker happened to be perfect for me. He's also kind of more stocky than a lot of other ponies, so I knew that his size would be a good fit for me personally. So another thing to think about before you go and purchase a horse is what your long-term riding goals are and what disciplines you want to do. So you want to pick a horse that will help you meet those riding goals and also will be able to compete in the disciplines you want to do. For me, personally, I actually didn't have any real goal when I got Tucker. I just got him because I wanted a project pony to work with, and I didn't really know what I was going to do with him afterward. But over the long grand scheme of things, he's turned out to be a great pony for me. I can just do about everything with him, so it works out well. So when you're going to look at a horse or going to ride a horse and try it out, I highly recommend you take along an experienced horse person, especially if you have an instructor or someone who's kind of been guiding you through your riding and helping you improve. Taking this person along can help you get a second opinion, and they can give you feedback as to whether they think that this is a good horse for you and whether you're a good fit or not. Before you bring your horse home or before you even go to start looking at horses, one tip is to go and tour boarding stables if you don't plan to keep your horse on your own property. When you're looking at boarding stables to keep your horse at, you want to make sure that it has the facilities you want to use and also like the living arrangements you want your horse to have. So one thing that was important to me is that there would be a pasture where Tucker could be turned out 24/7. I like to keep him outside just because it's the most natural thing for a horse. I also wanted a barn that had a lot of riding trails because we love trail riding, and also just a nice arena where we could work and play and maybe jump if we wanted to. Really something that had the versatility that I wanted, so whatever I felt like doing I could do. Another thing you're going to have to look for in a boarding stable is something that meets your budget. Some boarding stables are obviously going to be way more expensive than others, or there's also certain boarding packages that may be more expensive. So keeping your horse in a stall may be more expensive than keeping your horse out in a pasture. One thing that I've learned when it comes to getting a new horse or even just moving your horse to a new stable is it's a good idea to give them plenty of time to get used to their new surroundings. For me, this looks like giving the horse maybe a week to adjust, and in this week I'm not riding them. I don't have any expectations for them to do anything. I'm just letting them get used to their surroundings and maybe the new horses in their field, and also just being around me in general. Traveling and moving can be very stressful for horses. First of all, they're usually being taken away from their other horse friends that they've gotten to know and that were in their herd, and now they're being put into a new herd, which is totally different for them. And so they're having to meet all these new horses and establish themselves in the pecking order of the field now. And so that in and of itself can be very overwhelming to them. Travel can be very taxing on a horse's body, and they're known to lose a lot of their body weight over traveling periods. When I moved Tucker here, we actually moved across the country. And so he spent about 3 days in the trailer, which is a very long time. So I definitely gave him time to just readjust and relax in his new surroundings. It took him about 3 months to adjust. I noticed just his behavior was different and he had lost a lot of his muscle. So over the course of 3 months, he was able to adjust and gain back that muscle. So that just shows you the stress and the physical toll that travel can take on a horse and even just moving stables. So that's something to be mindful of. So in the adjustment period of your horse arriving at the new stable and they're getting to know you, they're getting to know all the horses out in the pasture, don't worry if their behavior seems a little different. This is normal for them. And once again, this is a very stressful situation for them probably. So they may exhibit behavior that they wouldn't otherwise exhibit. So that's why it's important to give them time to settle in and adjust. Another tip I have for new horse owners is getting all your supplies before your horse arrives. So I've been in situations where I needed like a brush or a thermometer or something for my horse and I didn't have it. So then I had to run and go get it and come back, and it just made the situation overwhelming. So it's a good idea to get all your supplies before you get your horse. So here's some of the supplies you will need for your first horse. First and foremost, you're going to need a halter and a lead rope, so you're going to be able to catch your horse and control them and take them places and all that fun stuff. Secondly, you're going to want a grooming kit with a bunch of brushes so you can make sure your horse is nice and clean. Brushing your horse is part of the daily care that horses require. It gives you the opportunity to, number one, clean them, number two, check them for any injuries they may have, and also to take care of their feet. Make sure they don't have any stones or uncomfortable debris that could cause them pain in their hooves. So these are just 2 items that come in the grooming kit. So you're going to want to make sure you get a full grooming kit that includes all the brushes you'll need to care for your horse. You're also going to want basic medical supplies for your horse. So here I have vet wrap and some zinc oxide ointment that can be used as an antiseptic. Having extra gauze and wraps on hand can be great for when you need them. Unfortunately, horses usually get injured by accident, so there's no way that you expect them to happen. They usually just randomly happen. So being sure to have this stuff on hand can be very helpful. Knowing all the supplies you're supposed to get for your first horse can be overwhelming. So I actually have an article on my website that has a complete list of items you can get and also the links so you can purchase them. So I'll put the link to that article down in the description. When you purchase your horse, you're also going to need riding tack. So a saddle, a girth, saddle pad, bridle, all that stuff. And that's usually overlooked because you may be using your instructor's tack, and then when you get your horse, you suddenly need to have your own tack. So it's important that you find like a saddle and a bridle and everything like that and make sure it fits your horse correctly so that it gives your horse comfort, but it's also comfortable for you. One of the best things you can do when you first get your horse is just allow time for you to get to know each other. When I first got Tucker, he wasn't even started under saddle, so we spent about a whole month or 2 just working on groundwork and spending time together. And I really do think that that benefited our relationship a lot. So when it came time to actually start him, he was easy peasy. Some of my favorite ways to spend time with my horse and get to know my horse is by brushing them. So that teaches your horse that your touch is good and that they can trust you. So if they learn that your touch is bad, they're gonna think, I don't wanna be around this person. So another way you can spend time with your horse is through groundwork. And groundwork really helps to solidify your relationship. And this is basically just any training you do on the ground with your horse. So what this does is it helps you establish yourself as the leader in the relationship. And this isn't a bad thing. Horses are herd animals, so they naturally look for a leader to show them what to do and see whether or not they can trust the situation. And so by doing groundwork, you're setting yourself up to show your horse that you're a good leader for them. Other ways you can spend time with your horse is by hand grazing them, or maybe just going in their field and standing there as they graze. You can also lead them on trail rides. I love doing that because it helps me get exercise as well as my horse. It's important in the beginning when you first get your horse that you really have low expectations in terms of, making your horse work hard and having that expectation for them. That makes them feel more stressed. It also makes you get frustrated way more easily. And with your new horse, you're just really trying to show them that you have a calm presence. And so what I like to do is I like just to allot a really short amount of time for myself to spend time with the horse in the beginning. So I may just spend time with them for like 10 or 20 minutes throughout the day, and then I'll just gradually increase and add riding and working into that. One very big mistake I made when I got my first horse is that I stopped taking riding lessons. When you're working with a new horse, especially your first horse, it's very important that you have consistent training and you have someone that you can go to with all your questions. Or maybe if you're having a problem, they can give you advice on how to handle the situation. So for all of these reasons, My biggest tip is to continue to work with an instructor even after you've gotten your first horse. Just because you have a horse now doesn't mean that you need to stop trying to improve. There's tons to know about horses, and you can study them your whole life and still have more to learn. And that's why it's important that you have an instructor that you can work with who can help you to continue to grow and also help you work better with your horse. Being able to properly care for your horse is one of the biggest things you should know before you go and get your first horse. So we have a video that's completely dedicated to this topic, and I'll put the link in the description so you can go and check that out. If this video was helpful to you, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to check out our new horse videos every week.